I need you guys to mark my words on this. The next big topic in the health and wellness space is going to be lighting. We're already hearing whispers and murmurs of this, and I feel like it's just about to go like explosive. So I'm gonna get ahead of the curve here and tell you guys about my experience with changing up the light environment in my home. I'm not really the type to get into super like gimmicky health and wellness stuff, but this topic really stood out to me, and about 9 months ago I decided to go ahead and make some changes. I've noticed a huge difference in my whole family's health, especially when it comes to things like sleep and energy. And in this video, I hope to convince you to go ahead and make some changes as well. If you've never seen my face before, hi, my name is Sage. I'm a stay-at-home mom to 2 toddlers, and I am on a mission to improve my life and therefore subsequently improve the lives of my children. On this channel, I aim to share these simple yet effective changes I'm making to improve my daily life so that you guys can follow along with me. If you end up enjoying this video, it would mean the entire world to me if you would choose to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell so that you can be among the first to know every time that I post a new video. And with that, let's go ahead and get into it. So first things first, here's my obligatory I am not a doctor or scientist disclaimer. I am just a mom who is like trying to improve her family's health, and in this video I'm just sharing my own personal experience. I'm actually not going to be like delving into a lot of the science behind this in this video. Like literally this is pretty much just anecdotal. I'm going to try my best to link some relevant like articles and sources for this down below in the description, so if you want further reading, you can go ahead and look into that. I'm not trying to make any revolutionary health claims here. I do think that this can play a large role in improving your health, but I'm not trying to say this is gonna like cure anything or anything like that. The topic of lighting and circadian rhythm is like really broad. And I think that all of us have heard of this at some point, right? Like we're told to like be careful to not be on your screens like super close to going to bed because it can disrupt your sleep. We're told to keep lights dim when we're putting our babies to bed. A lot of us have probably heard that getting morning sunlight can help you feel more awake and alert and energized throughout the day. These are some small tidbits of very well-known circadian health like facts, but it goes so much deeper than that. I was first introduced to like the breadth of circadian rhythm health by 2 podcasts in particular. Those podcasts being The Village Sessions and Mother's Path. I think both of those have 1 or 2 episodes specifically dedicated to lighting and circadian rhythm. And I first heard about this like about a year ago, and I first started implementing changes around 9 months ago. I'm kind of slow to adopt things once I hear about them, okay? I need a little bit of time to gather my thoughts. The premise of this idea is that our modern light environment is harmful to the way that our biology works in accordance to our circadian rhythm. So if you look at nature, like we are designed to be in very bright light from morning up until sunset, right? And then from then on, it's very dim light. For most of human history, we either had no light at all, or the only light that we were getting was from things like fires and candles. So very dim lights at the very red end of the visible light spectrum. Whereas sunlight is like very broad spectrum light. You have your blue and green light in there as well. And as it turns out, that light plays a big role in how sleepy we are and how energetic we are. It plays a big role in hormonal regulation, so what hormones start being pumped out at what point of the day. Light is what's known as a primary Zeitgeber or time giver for our bodies, which is one of the things that regulates our circadian clock or our internal timekeeper. Basically the thing that makes you sleepy when it's time to go to bed and alert and awake when it's time to wake up in the morning. However, if you look at modern life, our lighting is so different compared to our actual biology. A lot of us are spending a lot of time on screens that are pumping out like very isolated blue light, oftentimes way past the time that the sun has gone down. And we also have overhead lighting, oftentimes LEDs, that are keeping our homes super bright way past sundown. And then we wonder why us and our babies are having a hard time sleeping. It's because we're not allowing that hormonal interplay to happen. We're not giving our bodies the signals that they need to sleep when they need to sleep and be awake when it's time for them to be awake. LED lighting in particular can be really harmful in that it has like a flicker to it, and I'm not going to get into the science of this because like I don't entirely understand, but apparently that flicker does something to your brain that makes it harder for you to stay awake. Again, I'm going to try to link a relevant source for that so that you guys can go see what I'm talking about from someone who's like actually qualified to talk about it. But the idea is that incandescent lighting gives you a more like narrow spectrum of light closer to the red end. If we're talking anecdotal evidence, I think that we can all agree that like dimmer incandescent bulbs give you a much different feeling than walking into a room that is super brightly lit with like overhead lights, LED like white lights. That's gonna make you feel very different from like having a couple of lamps with lower lighting, softer lighting. Even on the internet, I see this talked about like, oh, the big light is bad. Like people would prefer to have like their lower lights on, their lamps on, their lights that are like lower in height. Like again, if we're thinking about lighting throughout most of human history, we're thinking about those fires, candles, like oil lamps. They would have been like at hip height roughly. We wouldn't have really had like overhead lighting in the way that we do today. So what initially drove me to start implementing this was my daughter's sleep. So my oldest kid, my daughter, was having a decently hard time going to bed at night. She would want to be running around her bedroom and just like going full steam ahead for like an hour after it was time to get her to sleep. It took so long to get her sleepy. And I knew that she needed to go to sleep at like the time we were trying to put her to bed because like, you know, she needed a certain number of hours of sleep, like a certain amount. And she was sleeping in a lot later in the mornings than I was thinking was right. And learning about circadian health and like the benefits of early morning sunlight and like the benefits of like going to sleep closer to sundown, it just made so much sense to me to be trying to get her to bed closer to sundown and then waking her up closer to sunup instead of having her sleep until like 9 a.m. That just didn't make sense to me. And so one night I was like, all right, babe, we are not turning on the overhead lights tonight. If we need light, we're turning on a candle until Shepherd goes to bed. She takes a bath every night, so in the bathroom we literally just lit a single candle and kept it otherwise completely dim. And she went to bed so much easier within a singular night of implementing this. It was like actually kind of shocking. So we did it again and boom, she goes down easier. She started waking up a little bit earlier, a little bit closer to sunup. I was like, oh wow, this actually is maybe a little bit more powerful than I imagined it to be. And so I got on Amazon, I ordered a bunch of like beeswax taper candles, I ordered some like candlestick holders, and I was like, we're not turning the lights on then again once she goes to bed because I want to start experiencing this. I've been struggling with like sleep since I was honestly around the time I hit puberty, so around 11, 12 years old. I was like, I want to see what the hype is here. Let's see if this works on adults too. And what do you know? It did. So when I first started implementing this, it was like late summer. So the sun was still up relatively late, meaning it was still like bright enough to see by in our house for like a long time. It was bright enough to see by with one or two candles until like 8:30 at night. But as the seasons progressed and things started getting darker, it was like getting to the point where it was impossible to see in the house past like 6 p.m. without having like a ton of candles everywhere. And my husband was like, okay, babe, we are kind of burning through candles like really quickly. We should maybe look into something else here. And so what we ended up actually doing was getting these string lights online. I found these orange incandescent string lights, kind of like Christmas lights, except the bulbs are a lot bigger. I strung them up in my kitchen, and now after like 5-6 p.m. I plug in those and we keep all of the overhead lights off, and they add just like the softest light. It is not very much, but it's enough for us to be able to see by, and it is so much more relaxing than having the big lights on. My daughter is still going to sleep so much easier. And also, like, there's just like a mood enhancement aspect to it. It's just so cozy and like comforting to have these really lovely lights on instead of like bright in-your-face LEDs that make you feel like you're in the middle of like a sunny field and it's like 8 p.m. It just doesn't work. There is another product on the market. They are modified LEDs, and they have been modified so that they don't have that flicker. They're also modified to be on the red end of the light spectrum. I have not purchased these because they are so expensive. They are literally like $30 per bulb or something crazy like that. But I did buy a singular night light that we use in our bathroom. It turns on automatically. It has like 3 settings for like super dim to like less dim, I guess. And the other product that we bought that is one of those modified LEDs is a book lamp. I actually bought it for my husband for Christmas, but he's been listening to a lot more audiobooks these days, so I've been using it. And it's literally just like a very concentrated red light, and it does not strain your eyes the same way that like a brighter light would. And it makes you feel kind of sleepy, which my husband thought was a bug, and I'm like, no babe, that is a feature. Like, that is the goal. We are trying to get sleepy when it's dark outside and trying to be awake when it is bright outside. Like, that is the goal, right? So yeah, you have your 3 options when it comes to more circadian healthy lighting. Obviously, like, the easiest and most accessible of all of these is going to be like your candles. Oil lamps are less accessible, but you can also use them. Literally, you don't have to buy the fancy beeswax candles either. Like, there are like votives from Dollar Tree that you can get and they last a decently long time. Another thing to keep your eyes out for is candles at the thrift store. I've gotten a ton of candles for super cheap from my local Goodwill. They work just as fine. Obviously, the beeswax ones are going to be prettier and like there's some evidence that they're better for your health, but you do what you can with the money you have, right? Then incandescents are another option. They're a lot harder to find, but one way that we have gone about getting them is through Christmas lights and the string lights I was talking about. It's really easy to find incandescent string lights, especially at Christmas time. You can find them like at Walmart. This is the brand we get. It says holiday time. It's literally just a Walmart brand, and these ones are LEDs, but they also have ones like, it'll be a little box here and it'll say incandescents. So yeah, those are very easy to find, and they're less than $5 for like a string light box of them. So again, more accessible than your $30 a bulb red light LEDs. From what I understand, buying just like a red light LED bulb is not going to be the same as the flicker-free ones, and the flicker-free ones are what makes it expensive. So yeah, if you have the money to replace them and you want to do that, then that's great. But I feel like the first 2 options are definitely the most affordable of the 3. Benefits we have noticed have definitely been better sleep or easier sleep. Like, my kids go to bed a lot easier. They fall asleep a lot faster. I fall asleep a lot faster. My husband has kind of always fallen asleep pretty fast, but he says that he feels like he's noticing an improvement in his sleep as well. Because we're getting better sleep, mornings are easier. I've been a night owl my entire life. I don't think I'm ever going to get to a point where I say that mornings are easy for me, but they are definitely easier. And lastly, this is going to sound really counterintuitive, but I am less productive. So my thing was, before we would get our kids to sleep and I would like get into like a flurry of needing to clean everything, and every project was put off until after the kids were asleep, because even now, like, I still don't really know how to manage doing household tasks and take care of 2 kids at once. But I had very high standards for myself, and I wanted to keep my house as clean as possible and keep up with all kinds of projects and sewing projects and art projects and all these things. And so the lights would be on and I would be like getting everything done, and like it was just a whole flurry of activity from like 7 p.m. till like 10 p.m. when it was time for me to get ready for sleep. And like, if you think about that, like, obviously you're not gonna go straight from that to being able to sleep super well. And so without having the bright lights on, for one, it's harder to see when things are like gross looking, which I know that sounds disgusting, but I'm not noticing like the smudges on the front of the oven or the dust underneath the cabinets. Like, it's just not as noticeable anymore. And also, since the lighting is so low, I can't really see to clean by as much. So I stick to my simple nighttime cleaning routine where I like make sure that everything is ready to go for the morning. You know, the dishwasher is loaded and started up. There's not food sitting out. Then I leave it. From there, I sit down and I start reading or do whatever else it is that I want to do to spend the little bit of time I have before bedtime. And my sleep quality has definitely improved. And as a mom to a very low sleep needs toddler, that has been a very big deal for me. Because if I was going to bed and not being able to fall asleep for an hour, and then less than 20 minutes my kid was waking me up for the first time, like, that's just not good, you know? But yeah, living at a more human speed has been very, very nice for me. So the pros of doing this is that it's really easy to switch back if you end up hating it. I'd say give it a solid 2 weeks, see if you notice any improvements, see if you like it, and if you absolutely hate it, like, you can just switch the big light back on. It's not really that hard. It's like the easiest piece of the whole circadian rhythm health thing to implement. I feel like making sure that you're getting like adequate sunlight during the day is going to be a lot harder for a lot of people than just making sure that your light environment is good at night. Like, the whole daytime light thing is a whole different piece, but I feel like it's so much easier to implement that once you get your sleep down and you have your evenings like figured out. It's going to be a lot easier to work on the daytime light aspect of it. And then lastly, I think it's important to have a phone disclaimer, which I feel like I'm becoming a little bit of a broken record on this account talking about phones. But if you're going to be on your phone, you need to make sure that you are either wearing some sort of good blue light blocker glasses. And so a good blue light blocker glasses means that it is tinted. It cannot be clear. It's not doing anything if they are completely clear, or at least it's not doing enough. So that is at minimum, but the better thing to do would be to put a blue light filter on your phone. You can download this in the App Store. A lot of phones have it like built in your settings, although I don't find that to be strong enough. I like to do an external app and make it that my phone is literally like orange all night long. You can set this up on a timer so you don't even have to think about it at night, that it just like switches to completely orange from a certain period of time. Or you could keep your phone completely orange all day long, and that actually will decrease your desire to scroll because it's not as like addictive and stimulating as the more isolated blue light of your regular phone screen. Obviously, you're going to notice even bigger benefits if you are off of your phone, but you know, if you have to be on your phone or you're not ready to completely give up scrolling at night, making those changes is going to make a difference for you. And that is everything that I have to say about the subject for today. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video, and I look forward to chatting with you guys again next Friday.